Hello everybody, E here. Welcome back to another book review. It's spooky season. Trying to find a reason to read some horror books. Alright, as cringe as that was, it's spooky season, and today we are talking about At Night All Blood is Black by David Diop. This is one of those rare finds, those hidden gems I had no idea existed. I needed one more. This is from a book outlet order ages ago. I needed one more book to get free shipping, so I wanted something cheap. This was $2.99, so I grabbed it. It was the winner of the International Booker Prize in 2021, and it is the author's first novel. He is Senegalese. I have never read anything by a Senegalese author. It means he's from Senegal. David Diop was born in Paris and he was born in Paris and raised in Senegal. He is a professor at the University of Pau and Pays de l'Ador, where his research includes such topics as 18th century French literature and European representations in Africa in the 17th and 18th century. At Night All Blood is Black is his second novel. I lied again. It's not his debut. It's the second one. This is also translated by Anna Maschovakis, I think. Anyways, she wrote a novel called Eleanor, or The Rejection of the Progress of Love, that was published in 2018. I got it because I liked the cover and I loved the premise. I don't normally read descriptions, and let me go ahead and say I'm not going to read the description. I'm also going to tell you not to read the description, and the reason for that is because so many spoilers. I probably could have skipped halfway through the book and been alright as long as I read the description, because the description spells out a lot of stuff that is not spelled out in the book. This is literary fiction. It is horror coded, and what I mean, not coated like paint, a coat of paint, but coded as in like programming code. It's horror coded in that it is very brutal. It's got some very surreal aspects. If you're a horror fan, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. But I am going to kind of summarize what the premise is. A man named Alpha Ndeye and his friend Mademba Diop, same last name as the author, David Diop. And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, I'm sorry. I looked it up, and that's the best my mouth can do. So Alpha and Mademba are on the front lines, on the vanguard, during World War I. Trench warfare, you know how it goes. Somebody blows a whistle, troops charge, they get gunned down. The next, basically whoever has the most bodies wins in trench warfare. There really is no strategy. They just kind of throw themselves at each other and see who survives. So one night, Alpha and Mademba are sent out. Mademba is eviscerated, and this is this is like the very first chapter. His Alpha's friend Mademba is eviscerated, and he's begging his friend Alpha to mercy kill him. Alpha cannot bring himself to do it. Mademba asks 3 or 4 more times, please do it, please do it, please do it, and he never does it. So then Mademba dies, not a natural death, but dies of his wounds. So this whole time that Mademba is asking him to do this, he's asking, please slit my throat, please slit my throat, and Alpha is refusing. So then after Mademba dies, Alpha is full of guilt, and he goes and starts basically waging a one-man war against the Germans that killed his friend. Stalking over there in the middle of the night, so on and so forth. I'm not going to tell you any more. That's literally all it should have said in the beginning, was that in the description is that happened. But it goes on to tell you exactly what he does, how he does it, so on and so forth, and all that is in the description. So please stay away from the description. I told you all you need to know. Now, there is a twist toward the end, which I thought was fun. I didn't see it coming, but it kind of made sense considering all the build-up and everything that was said throughout the novel. If you're a fan of Memento, the way it goes in reverse, you're gonna love this book because it's told in reverse. Present day is right up front, and then it goes back through time. It's not like an alternating flashback kind of thing. It just gets farther and farther away with peaks of what's happening now throughout the book. And this really helps the twist. It really helps it, it's like it's such a shock when you finally get to the end of it, to find out what has been going on, what is going on, so on and so forth. If you're not a fan of repetition in a literary sense, not bad writing, but repetition in a literary sense to drive home a point, to drive home a theme, then you might want to stay away from this one, because there's a lot of that in here. A lot of the sentences start God's truth, and what that means in the book, in that culture, is basically like you or I saying, I swear to God. So God's truth. Also, anytime he talks about certain characters, he says their like entire name, plus their rank, plus their station in life, all that stuff. Like there's one character, I'm trying to think of one that's not, Elder Croix de Guerre, Chocolate Soldier, Ibrahima Sek. Every single time he talks about that person, Ibrahima Sek, he says that whole thing. Elder Croix de Guerre, Chocolate Soldier, Ibrahima Sect. Sometimes he adds more to it. When he talks about his friend Jean-Baptiste, he says the whole thing with him. He repeats over and over again what the enemy looks like, what his fellow soldiers look like. The chocolate soldiers are the black people, and then you have the Toubab, Toubab, I believe, are the white soldiers on their side, and then Germans on the other side. I should have looked up what I meant to look up what Toubab meant, but I did not. I apologize. This was fascinating to me. First off, I'd never read anything by a Senegalese author. I don't think I've even read anything from a Parisian author. So this is a first for me on both counts. I don't think I've read anybody from Paris. I don't know. But, so, that was a first. I've only read one other thing. I think it was The Sojourn. I think that happened during World War I, but that's beside the point. Now, for the horror fans out there, the gore fans, this is spooky season. There's some talk of demon stuff, black magic, all different kinds of crazy stuff. Whether or not it's real or not is left up to you to decide completely. Especially with the ending, it's left up to you to decide whether or not it's one thing or another. Okay? But yeah, there's that. But the main thing for you gore hounds out there that like blood and guts, this is very, very graphic. People getting eviscerated. People getting their throats slit, people getting their heads literally blown off by mortar shells, and that happens more than one time, to a point where I had to start like paying attention to the themes. Like, is this happening on purpose? Is this actually happening? Kind of thing. What I really don't want you to know is what he does to the people that he goes after. Because that was one of the more interesting things. There is a line in here that I don't want to say I don't think it's a spoiler, but I want to bring it up because I loved it so much. How all flesh, once mummified, is the same color, is the same hue of brown. And I thought that was very striking, because he's talking about, the white people, the black people, everybody, and once mummified and desiccated, they're all the same color. That really struck me. The thematic elements of that in the book, especially in context, really did it for me. I understand completely why this one won the Booker Prize in 2021, the International Booker Prize. The writing, again, is repetitive, but it's repetitive for a reason. I wrote a story called Something Else that is written in the same way. So I don't read I've never read anything quite like what the piece that I had written. And I believe it's in, what's that? Something Estranged is the collection that my story's in. I'd never read anything else like that. I knew it was a style, but I'd never found anything like that. I'm so glad that I picked this one up. I wish I'd paid full price for it because it definitely deserves it. It's stretching the concept of a novel. I will tell you that. It's 144 pages. and the font is huge. It's got, yeah, you see even the space between the sentences is rather large, and it's not the size of a regular hardcover. I'm gonna link you down there in the doobly-doo. If you buy from my link, I get a little bit of money, but this is a regular size hardcover. This is this one. So it's a novella, honestly, but they call it a novel because of the themes and everything, and yeah, how much happens in it. That's really the line. Yes, there are word count and page. No, it's not really page count, but there are word count limits or thresholds for novel, novella, novelette, short story, all that stuff. But when something like Of Mice and Men has such a poignant message and has such deep characterization and feels like a bigger story, they still, and that book is only 99 pages, is the longest one I've seen. And this one's 144 pages. Anyone else or any other story, it'd probably be a novella, but because it's not such an epic, but because it has so much to it, that they end up calling it a novel. I will try and figure out what the actual, line is. I know it's not words or page unless you're submitting. Submitting, it's words, and it's words, not even pages. It's words. But yeah, for how publishing denotes a novel versus a novella, so on and so forth, because we all know that a lot of Stephen King's novellas are novel length, at least in the literary, not in the publishing landscape. Anywho, have you read At Night All Blood Is Black by David Diop? If you have, let me know what you thought of it down there in the doobly-doo. I hope you're having a wonderful October and a great spooky season, but until next time, I have been E, you've been you, this has been another book review. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye!